future is like rowing a boat. You never enter it facing forward. You only see the ripples of the past as your back is facing the future. I always see myself in reference to the past because it's the only measure of growth we see. I've grown a lot this year. It's the sentiment because we can't compare who we are to what we will be in a year. There's no way to quantify a future that hasn't come to pass yet. You just can't do that, sadly. Life is like the sacred grove from The Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess. The sacred grove is a maze to the Temple of Time, forgotten by time, so much so that it feels like it exists outside of time. It has rooms that connect, but one wrong turn can make you lost, forgotten. The human heart is a maze outside of time, only navigatable by the conscious experiences we live. But emotions can make you confused like the skull puppets do. They can guide the maze the same way they can turn you around. Emotions should be seen and felt, but never hold power over you. You have to show your courage and wisdom to get through the grove. Life is what you are because life is where you are. The past is that, past us. If you get caught up in the nostalgia, the rumination, the desires and subtraction of yourself, you're destined to get lost. Only when you push past yourself, the instantiations you claim are true, the measures and values we negatively think we are, and succumbing to the weight of the world, can we start to traverse the grove and reach our Temple of Time. You may need to go back multiple times for different emotions and thoughts, but that's okay. The grove can feel like an overgrowth of bad things about us, but if we knew our future depended on getting to the end of the grove, we would do it without a shadow of a doubt. So I repeat what was earlier stated. The future is like rowing a boat. You're facing away while you're seeing the ripples of the past as you sail into a new twilight. The sacred grove can be puzzling, but once you get through it, you'll reach the Temple of Time. I've been having a lot of issues lately as far as rumination goes. Now, rumination it's a revolving door of emotions that can pin you down and make you feel like you're going around and around in a circle. The worst part about rumination is that it can disguise and mask itself as intellectualization. Why go into a problem that you have no knowledge of when you can think about the problem? The issue with that, though, is that you never come up with a solution and you just end up isolating yourself and trapping yourself into this thought of a problem that you can't solve yourself. And I think when we go ahead and discuss rumination, I think it brings up a point of contention as far as being so self-aware in your own brain, that you essentially mask it as self-hatred. I'm a firm believer that if you were to do a little bit of soul searching, you would find more often than not that the problem is not outside of you and neither is the solution. Everything that you could ever want in your life is always inside of you. It's never outside of us. I think we get into this instantiation that our own problems need solutions that other people have to solve because we ourselves can't even solve them. I'm going to repeat that. I think that's why a lot of people get into bad relationships or ruminate and stay in their own problems when they know and get constantly told what the solution is. It's just, as far as perspective goes, it's so hard to get out of that hole when you're so deep digging into your own trauma. Lingering on a solution doesn't automatically make a problem appear. It never does. It just further extends how far that hole actually goes. And so I've been stuck on that thought for a couple of days now, just because of the fact that now that I'm coming more to an understanding about how subtracting myself from the world is not really a good way to go about spiritual awareness, and the more that I'm starting to understand that maybe I should start being more expressive in my life and start actually paying attention to the things around me if I want to actually change my life, it's masking itself as intellectualization because of the fact that I'm now ruminating on who I used to be. I'm now thinking about the past instead of what my future should be. But the reason why we ruminate is because it's so hard to think clearly and concisely of our own future. If we had someone that could tell us that our own future had everything in our own mind and everything that we ever wanted in this world, we would believe them off of the simple fact that they're telling us that it has to be that way. Without that concrete proof, there's just no way to quantify what a future for us actually looks like. And that thought gets scary sometimes. It breeds the parts of uncertainty and the parts of cowardice in me. It breeds the parts of me that I don't like living with. And so I've done a lot of soul searching recently. I've found the parts of myself that I was neglecting. I think the solution to rumination has to be giving yourself a grace of error. And what I mean by a grace of error is that you have to express to yourself, cognitively and metaphysically speaking, that you are allowed to make mistakes. That one solution doesn't have to fit a mold, or that one certain way, frame of thinking has to be the correct way of thinking. And when you shift that perspective and you give yourself that grace to be human, essentially, you start to understand that you're able to solve your own issues. Why think of the world as a revolving door when you can just change that frame of work into thinking, okay, I just need to find a new way into the building. I need to find a window. I need to find a back door. I need to find a way that works for me that isn't the revolving door. And I often find that whenever you cross that other side, more often than not, when you look back, it wasn't even a revolving door. It was just a door that you thought was closed. And I turn a simple problem and I blow it up out of proportion into the most complicated trap ever, when it never has to be that way. We can always give ourselves grace of error whenever we talk to new people. We can always give ourselves grace of error whenever we don't know a question or a simple solution. We can always give ourselves a grace of error for any type of feeling and instantiation of a negative emotion in our brain, because we don't always have to listen to it. We aren't the circumstances that surround us. We are who we make of ourselves. And I'm tired of acting like that's not the case. And it brings me back to, I'm ruminating because I'm only having a reference of what my life looked like before. I found that I've ran into the same trap again, where it's like, I want to change my life and I want to start adding more. I want to start living in abundance. I want to start being able to connect with more people and start building more relationships. But I only have a reference of what has came. I don't have a reference for who I'm going to be outside of this journal. And even then, I'm not given the instant gratification of that immediately. So, in order to break the revolving door, you have to use imagination. Because if your brain is making that space for the door, then you have to imagine that the door isn't even a door. It's just an opening, a window of opportunity. And when I'm shifting my brain like that, I find that a lot of my problems just don't have any type of consequential matter to them, or any type of consequential weight to them. I was just attaching that feeling to the action, the same way that our brain just processes information that we give it. And so, for me, the solution to rumination is I need to dream more. I need to think more outside the box and just fully tap into that intelligence of the imagination. And I think other people should do that too.